Hey everyone, welcome again to the next series of the Expert Talk series. And today we have Vinayak Nirvani, and he's from UK. This is the first time I've got someone from the UK, and I met him on LinkedIn, and he has got like awesome experience with AWS. And this is again one of the cloud computing series. And last time we saw about Google's cloud platform, and today we are going to see about Amazon Web Services. So we are going to convert your ideas into a working app using React and AWS. So without further delay, come on, Vinayak, go on.
Hi everyone. So myself, Vinayak Nirvani. I've been contracting for 10 years in UK and did my master's from UK in Salford University. So I hope everyone can hear me very well. Uh, so okay, so this session is basically what we are going to do is like everyone usually have lots of ideas about, oh, okay, I thought of a really good idea of app to develop and which will be really good. But then the problem is always, okay, the how to develop it or how to do it something really quickly without spending too much of time on it, isn't it? So that's why what we are going to do is how we can leverage AWS services and convert your ideas into reality very quickly, or how we can build an MVP very quickly. So if you don't know what MVP means, it's basically minimum viable product. So in this case, what we are going to do is we are going to use a chat app as an example. So we are not really trying to build a real world, well, the actual chat app, but we are just going to take it as a reference to see how we can use different features or services from AWS and how we can build these such apps very quickly. So I think we are going to split this into two sessions, just keeping the time in the mind. Hopefully, we'll do in total. We should be able to finish it in 2.5 hours or something like that. So we'll see how it goes today, and depending on that, we'll try and finish as much as we can, and then tomorrow as well, we'll finish it, and then we will. I mean, if you have any questions, feel free to ask the questions in between, and Praveen should be able to just let me know if there are any questions. I'm just not looking at YouTube at the moment, so
Don't
I
worry, I'll
won't
take care of
really.
it.
Yeah. So yeah. So that's all. I think without further ado, I think we should just really start. Is there anything, Praveen, so you want to say, or should we just start?
Awesome, that looks super cool. And would you like to go on live directly, like a demo or something like that, or do you want to say something else? Should we go switch to the screen mode?
Yeah, I think I'll just share screen and we'll just quickly show what we are going to basically build by end of
Okay, go on, share your screen.
next session tomorrow, and then we'll. I mean, we can have some discussions. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. So
Cool.
I think everyone can see my screen, right?
Yes.
Hopefully. So what we are going to build is what you see on the screen. So this is I'm just running on local, but we will also be end of the next session tomorrow. We will actually host this on AWS as well, and we will show you how to do that really quickly without having to have like a huge setup. So yeah, I'm sure you're gonna love it. And with
Definitely.
this, it's basically will be setting up a CI/CD pipelines within a minute or so, not even a minute. So yeah, that will be good. So as you can see here, we have a login screen. We can create an account using just simple first name, last name, email address, password, and phone number. And the reason behind using phone number is because we are also going to set up a two-stage authentication, two-factor authentication, so that if we are going to really try and make this application as if like we are building something, a real world application, production, we are going to stage application. Uh, so yeah, so we'll have that two-stage authentication as well. And if I just log in here, Boom, there you go. So this is the chat application that we are going to build, which is basically has a header, as you can see, a couple of buttons on the top, and there is a left side, there is a panel to add new rooms. So it's more like a Slack, if you have seen Slack. So you can create different channels or rooms, you can call them, or whatever you want to call them. And then every room will have different messages coming in from everyone. So if I just show you quick example, there is one room. If I just add, I can just press enter, and then it'll just create that room. And then so if I just say, it's just going to show me my name.
Ooh,
And then if you had some profile picture, obviously, if you have enough time by tomorrow, then we'll try get the profile picture working in as well.
that would be super
But for
cool.
now,
Hey,
we
by the
can
way, I
see
was
that.
just wondering the time that it
Yeah.
displays. Why don't we use something like Moment.js or something like that so that we can make the
Yeah, sure.
human-friendly time?
Yeah. So, but yeah, I think there are a couple of things I want to clear as well. You know, there are many ways like to do things like styling the apps and using Moment or any different type of JavaScript libraries to do different things, right? So what I want to try and do in here is basically, not use too much of CSS, not use too much of JavaScript, like third-party libraries. So I want to show like what we can do really quickly without using too much of any
Got it.
third-party things that we probably end up depending on. And we will, because I've seen in the past that more the third-party libraries you use, you get more, the project gets more complicated, and then you get conflicts and a lot of other things. So we'll try and keep it simple. We are going to use UI library, something called Chakra UI. So I don't know if many of people heard of it or not. If I show you, so this is what it is. So it basically helps you create a React apps really quickly with speed. So with this, I'm not going to write any I'm not going to have any CSS files. I'll be writing CSS, but I'll be using props rather than using style components, style tags. So yeah, so this is what it's going to do. And if the message is coming from me, it's going to show like this. If message is coming from some other users, it's going to show on my left side of the screen. I don't know if I got anything here. If I just log in here. Now this is going to be a bit slower, but hopefully everyone will be able to learn something good from here. Okay. Anyway, that's somewhat. Anyway, so yeah, so we're going to build this, and then we have another couple of buttons in here. One is this, which is interesting. So nowadays, most of the apps have like a dark mode and the light mode.
Dark
So
mode.
we are going to see how we can do this as well with
Wow.
really easy. We are not going to spend too much of CSS work and a lot of other things. We are going to do really minimal work in here, and then hopefully we'll get the same results as you can see in here. And yeah, finally we're going to have a sign out. That's all. So we can actually do reset your email password and everything. So everything works, and you'll be surprised how long it takes to build all this thing. Okay. So yeah, I think that's all. I think we should just get started. And I don't know if there are any questions or anything. If not, then we can just start.
I might have one simple question. So,
Yeah.
how well this will be received by the beginners? The usual question.
Um, I think I'm not. That's the thing. So I'm not use. I'm not going to. At least I'm not going to use uh, uh, anything fancy or anything which is out of something for mid-level or say advanced level of JavaScript or anything. So I'm not going to use any of those concepts. I'm going to make it really simple. At the same time, with the help of AWS, what we will be able to do is we will be able to make it scalable. So if you were to tomorrow, if you today you have only say 1 or 2 users, and then tomorrow if you somehow you got million users, the app will still work as it is and without any problems or without any loss of performance. So yeah, that's my hopefully goal to use something everything basics. But we'll see if there is
Got it.
anything which is not easy to understand. Then feel free to ask me questions, and then we'll try to
Yeah, I
clear them.
believe like the questions are open. Any kind of questions, if they come up with, I'm
Yeah.
just gonna ask you right away, then and there. So, thank you.
Yeah, no worries. So what I'm going to do is, as everyone knows, I think the npx command to create React apps. So if you don't know, you can just
I've
Google.
been saying this for ages.
Yeah, you can just go in here and then you can see how you can use this. If you need to install and all, I think there should be somewhere to install that as well. But this is what we'll use, and there are many different types of templates, right? So if you want to use things like TypeScript is another thing that I would like to cover in not in these sessions anyway, in this series, but in future series. Because me, I am getting dehydrated, I guess, for some reason, so I'll be drinking a lot of water. So yeah, I think there are many. I think if you want to search for the templates, so there is, yeah. So if you click on here, you can see there are many different types of templates that you can use for creating React app out of the box. So things like, for Redux, there is one template as well. So it'll tell you in here what are the libraries or the frameworks used in this template. So in here, for example, here you can see that there is a Redux, there is Redux.js, and then in here there is something recall and excuse me, TypeScript and all that kind of things. So yeah, what we are going to do is we are just going to keep it really simple. So if I just bring my template here, we'll say YouTube chat, and I'm going to use npm. So that's all I'm going to do. I'm not doing anything fancy, and it's just a simple JavaScript-based React app that we are building. So hopefully it'll not take. There are a few things that I'll obviously will be doing, which means basically you'll be fetching or pushing some stuff to AWS. So it's gonna take some time, or maybe a minute, not more than a
Got
minute,
it.
hopefully. So hopefully that should be all right. But if there is any questions or anything, everyone can ask,
Yep.
jump in and ask those questions.
Nothing so far. No questions for me either.
So
So I'm
while
also
this is
following what you're
building,
doing.
all right, that's good. While this is building, let it build. And what we are going to do is, I'm going to show you. I'm just going to log this out. So we are going to use AWS, and in AWS, we are going to use a service or the tool called AWS Amplify. So it's been out for, I think, a couple of years now. So it's not like something newly started, newly launched. It's been there for a while and it's working very well. And most of the issues are all fixed. So in terms of scalability, you can do everything that you could just by setting up the everything manually. And AWS has a bad name for that because of the complexity. Everyone thinks that it's so complicated. It's complicated because if you look at the amount of tools it has, it's crazy.
Definitely.
Just see amount of tools you got. There's so many tools, and they're all connected to each other. So for that reason, it's quite complicated. But I think if you that's why there are certifications and all. But if you use AWS Amplify, what it's going to do is like it's going to set up things like if you're using storage, it's going to set up S3 buckets automatically. It's going to set up your database automatically. If you're using GraphQL APIs, it's going to set up all that kind of things with very ease. So hopefully that should be good to see how it all works. So all I'm going to do is now is just open that in Visual Studio Code. And since I don't think there is anything to install, so there is no new libraries that needs installing. It's what we are going to do is just going to do npm start and see whether our app works. That's just it's creating multiple windows. So yeah, we can see that it's running fine. There is no issues. So what we can do here is we can just try changing a little bit. And we can see the hot reloading is working fine as well. So that's all good. I'm just going to quickly set it up so that, yeah, so my code is in here and then I can just switch between the view and the code. So yeah, so let me just quickly check things. Yeah, so I think first thing to do is just cleaning up. So like I said, we are not going to use any CSS, or at least not CSS tags, and we're not going to write too much of CSS code. So we don't really need all these CSS files. All the CSS file we're going to keep is only this index of CSS, just to basically nullify any other styles
Got it.
that are coming in by default. And we are purely going to use Chakra UI components.
Vinayak,
So
the
I can
whole
just
stage is
go
yours
ahead.
now. So I'll be behind and it's just you.
Yeah,
Go on, enjoy.
okay, sounds good. Yeah, sounds good. Thank you. So if we just say, and if I just get rid of this, yeah, everything looks fine. And as always, the hot reloading, I don't know why it doesn't work sometimes. But, you know, that's the thing. But a couple of things I want to do quickly is I want to just set margin to 0 for everything so that, nothing getting mixed up. And also, I'll be doing few things, but I'll explain you all when we reach to that stage why I'm doing that. I'm going to do
Sure.
overflow here, and I'll tell you why. Because I don't really want to use scrolling anywhere at all in this app. I want to enable scrolling wherever I want, but everywhere else I want to disable it. So I think this is the one good thing I found, a good way to I found out to do this. That in your main index of CSS, just set everything wherever you want to set with the star, all those things, and if you need to enable or if you want to set particular things like overflow and all, just set them wherever you need and whenever you need. So yeah, that's all working fine. So let me see what we're going to do. I think we just need to install Chakra UI next. So if we just go to Chakra UI, getting started installation. So as we are using npm, I'm just going to copy this. I'm just going to create another terminal, test it. It's running. So while that's running, well, we'll just have to really wait because I want to show everything through terminal. There are many ways you can set up your AWS profile or the tools that you're using from your console, AWS console, or you can actually use terminals. But I think I'll be using terminal because it's very easy and straightforward to use terminal rather than using the console for many reasons, and which is the main reason I think everyone finds that the AWS is very complicated and confusing. So I think the Chakra is installed. So I'm just going to give it a test and do something like, So hopefully, yeah, again, I don't know why hot reloading is not working. So yeah, it's working good. I think as soon as you install some certain libraries, I think you probably need to refresh once. Otherwise, it's just not going to pick it up. So yeah, as you can see, so the Chakra is installed, and we are using just one simple component-based, well, React-based component center, which basically renders everything in center. And you can set it a height if you set a height. So it's basically just center it vertically as well. So that's all. So that's all working. So without further ado, what we are going to do is we are going to start setting up AWS Amplify. So to install Amplify CLI, if I just search in here you can see how to install that. So all you have to do is like run this, if you're using npm, run this command, and it's just going to install that CLI, Amplify CLI globally. You may need to use sudo or admin account if you're on Windows. Now that I have already done that, so I'm not going to do that again. So what I'm going to do, once you install that, what you're going to do is you're going to configure Amplify. So the way you can do is all you have to do is Amplify configure, that's all. And what it's going to do is it's going to open up the browser, hopefully, yeah. And now that I'm already logged in, so it's not going to ask me to log in, but all it's doing is it's just opening up the browser window and asking you to log into your AWS account. And once you're logged in, all you have to do is like go back and then just press enter. And then that's it. So it's logged in and it has access to your account and everything. That's all. So here you can see that it's just quite simple to use CLI for many reasons, and one of the reasons is just it's all question answer. So all you are doing is answering all the questions, and it will set up everything else that's needed. So here it's just asking the region. I'm in EOS2, which is London. It's just going to ask me username for the profile, AWS profile. So it's what it's going to do is basically creating an account that will be used by this chat application to set up everything on AWS. So so it's called the IAM user account. So if I just press enter, it's just going to take the default. It's just going to tell you always the default values for every question, default answer for every question. And if you're happy with the question answer, you can just press enter, or if you want to change it, so you can actually go ahead and change it. I'm just going to leave it all as it is. So you can see it just again switch back to the browser. So what it's saying is like, you told me what username you want to use for this user account. Now just go ahead and complete the step on the console. So all you have to do, you don't need to worry about anything. Just go ahead and just click next, and everything. So all it's if you just read in here, so it's just going to set up access type. So it's going to be programmatic access, which means that we want to use this account to set up our Amplify, all the services and everything from the command, from using programming. So I just press next. There are many different type of policies that you can give this user. One of them is the administrator access. So I'm just going to leave that by default. We don't need to worry about the tags, and just create a user. That's it. So the user is created. So we are gonna, this is the very important bit. We are gonna come back to it. So we can go back to our CLI and just say the center. Now it's gonna ask me for the access key, which is here. So if I just press it, it's gonna ask me for secret. I'm just going to move this window, copy the secret, and move that window back in here. That's it. So it's just going to ask me a few other things. So what's the profile name? I'm just going to keep it default. That's it. That's all. So all you did was, I think, hardly like 3 or 4 steps, and your Amplify profile is set. So what next? So next is we are going to see how we can use Amplify to create apps really quickly. So the first thing you always think of whenever you want to create an app is authentication. You want users to be able to create their accounts on their own and sign in and make sure that your app is secured by the login. And there are a couple of other things as well that, when creating an account, you want to also allow users to, because if you want to go extra mile, you might as well allow them to use two-factor authentication as well, so that whenever they log in with their email account or email address or username and password, you may want to add another stage where you send a secret or the verification code to their mobile number, and they just enter that into the website or the app to continue the login. So that way, you're just making sure that it's all completely 100% secure, and you don't need to worry anything at all. And you'll see how easy it is to do that. So all I'm going to do is amplify init. And it's just going to ask me the project name. So what this is doing is, first it's going to create a Amplify app. So I'm just going to leave it to default. This is a dev environment. I'm using which IDE I'm using. So Visual Studio. I'm using JavaScript, and this is a React app. All my code is going to be in SRC folder. Yeah, and then the build is going to be into build. Usually this takes hardly a few seconds. I don't know why it's taking so long. So the rest of the things, I'm just going to keep them as default. No need to worry about them in React if it is a React app. If you're using TypeScript and a couple of other things, like for example, if you're using server-side rendering, if you know what server-side rendering is, it's basically, do you want to use AWS Amplify? Yes. I'm just going to use the default profile that we created a while ago. So yeah, so server-side rendering, what it is, it's basically everything in React app is front end, or sorry, the client side. So any JavaScript components that you write, they're all rendered on the client side in the browser. So um, uh, literally anyone can see what's happening behind the scene. If you want to secure it, or in some cases, like if you're using SEO methods for your app, or if you want to set up an SEO, you probably need to do something like server-side rendering, where everything rendering happens on the server, and then only the output, the static HTML, gets rendered on your client side. So we are not going to cover that in this session, but I think it'll be good to know as well. So yeah, I think the Amplify init is done. So next thing we are going to do is add authentication. And the way to do that, so if you just only press Amplify, enter Amplify, you'll see all the commands that it has. So what we did so far is configure, which basically configures a project. And we did initialize, so it's basically going to use all the set of the resources and all that other kind of things for your project in the cloud. So everything happens on the cloud. So I'll tell you where the things that doesn't happen on the cloud straight away. You need to push things to cloud, uh, and certainly just happen straight in the cloud. So far, we are done initialize. So we are going to do is add authentication, and all you have to do is amplify add auth. So again, it's going to ask you a lot of questions, but you can choose to answer a lot of questions. So you can just go with the default configuration and just going to set up everything for you. So I'm just going to keep it default configuration. And here, just asking me, how do you want your users to log in? Do you want them to use a username or email address or phone number or whatever? So I'm just, in this case, I'm just going to use email address, because there is no reason to have username and email address two different. things. So just continue. And yeah, and if you want additional settings, so you can always go ahead and do that. In here, there are a lot of things like you can add a third-party login providers like the Facebook, Google account, and everything else. So I'll show you quickly as well later on how to do all that. But yeah, for now, I'm just going to say no. I'm just done. That's it.
That was cool.
So by this stage, you think that okay, what have we done so far? And if I have to tell you, so whatever in the start of the stream, I showed you the login, how to create an account, and everything. So basically, we finished all the backend stuff for that with just one command, and we'll see how it actually works very quickly as well. So far, that's we have added authentication. So if we just go back to our console and go to Amplify, so here you can see the app we just created in Amplify, and deployment is completed. And if you just click on this deployment, you will see the things that we have. So we have authentication. Oh no, we don't. Of course, the authentication is added, but like I said before, some things happen straight in the cloud, but some of the things you need to push them. So if I do amplify status, it'll tell you what are the services or the tools or the services basically you have added to your project. And you can see we just added authentication and the operation is create, which means that it just created, but it's not been pushed yet. So to just push everything to the cloud, all you do is amplify push. Now it's going to take a while, but meanwhile, I'll show you how it works. So if I just press yes here, are you sure? Yes, I'm sure. So it's going to take a bit of time, but once it's finished, so you can see in here that the authentication is set up in here. So there are many other things that you can set up as well. So you can set up an API, which is we are going to do hopefully today, if not tomorrow. We also can add a storage, so we can add many different S3 buckets. If you don't know what S3 buckets are, it's basically sort of like a space or a cloud drive, you can call it. And there are many ways to access those S3 buckets as well. If you have time, we'll see them as well. We can add analytics so that things like who is using things like how many queries have been run on your database or how many people have been accessing the S3 bucket and things like that. People, how many times people logged in and things. You can set up quite a lot of analytics using Amplify. And then the last thing is the functions. Functions are basically cloud functions using Lambda. They are calling Lambda in AWS. And these are basically just the functions that are running in the cloud. So the function could be something, for example, as soon as someone user logs in, do this, or as soon as someone user uploads an image to my S3 buckets, what do you want to do? So you can run these functions at that stage. You can also automate these or schedule these functions as well, so that the function is running every night or every day or every minute or whatever you want. So if you just go back, it's still going to take a bit of time. Meanwhile, we can talk about something called admin UI as well. So if I go to Amplify, documentation, hopefully we'll have, no? Well, what I'll do is I'll just create another. So they just recently launched something called admin UI, which is basically CMS. Uh, so if you have seen probably the WordPress or any other CMS systems, the way they work, you can set up the user management, you can set up your posts, you can set up your FTP accounts and everything. So whatever you are going to do through Amplify, you can actually do using admin UI as well. If I just it'll create. Once it's created, I'll show you what that does. It's basically a very easy way to set up everything that we are setting up through Amplify. We can actually do that through admin UI as well, with the help of UI. And it's quite easy as well to pull everything in your project as well, whatever things you set up. But the only problem with that is since it's recently launched, it still has a lot of issues. It still lacks a lot of tools. It doesn't have integrations with a lot of AWS services. So that's the only thing. But hopefully within a year or so, I think it will catch up as much as Amplify, and it'll be good to use as well. So we might be able to do some demo on that as well. So as soon as you push the Amplify, you'll see, well, as soon as you add authentication, you'll see it has created AWS exports file. And what that file is basically just all the configuration of all the things that you have been adding to your project using Amplify. So here you can see we just created authentication, which is basically a user pool. This is the client ID for this app. So to basically set up our project to use that, all we need to do is import. Oh yeah, that's it. Because I forgot another stage thing as well. So we basically what we did is we set up the Amplify on cloud, but we still haven't added Amplify to well, the libraries in our project. So what we are going to do is install them. So could actually go in here as well. Yeah, in here, so you can see how you can install everything. So all you have to do is like MPS install the command line. After that, you can create a project and well, I'm not, I forgot where it is, but basically these are the things that you probably need to install. So we're just going to go ahead and install them. We probably need another thing as well. While that's doing, we can just have a look at few of the tools. Well, actually, the admin UI is installed, so we can have a look at that as well. So this is the new CMS that they recently launched. So there is one way. This is another way you can set up your backend. So you just need to create a backend project in Amplify, and once you create that, you can access admin UI, and then here you can add all the content, which is basically things like your data models or things like if you have any resources or any static files, and also you can add on in here. You can add a user management. You can set up authentication, same way we did in using CLI. You can just do it in browser as well. In data, it's basically a database. You can add different models and enums and all that other type of things. Authentication, you will be able to manage your users in here. You can set up other things like things that we did, how people are going to log in, and the password policy and all that kind of things. Yeah, so there are other things as well. So you can add functions, you can add storage, Graph API, REST APIs, analytics, and everything else you can add from here. but it's just that it's still in early stages, so a lot of things are still in beta or still haven't been uh, integrated very well. So I would probably leave it for now. So if we go back to our Amplify, that's all installed as well. I'm going to quickly start installing another thing as well. I always forgot that. This is another library which basically gives a few ready components to use. So we just added authentication, right? So the authentication is using basically a tool called Cognito, service called Cognito. So in here, if you go, you'll see that we just created this user pool. There are no users, but here you can actually go ahead and set up other things, like for example, the attributes it can't be changed once set up. You can change the password policies, or how long you want a user to enter the password, or if you want to have numbers or special characters and everything. So you can enforce those policies. If you want to set up two-step authentication, we can do it from here, but I'm just going to show you how to do that from code as well. So user has an option to set up if they want. And there are other security features. If you want to add that goes a little bit advanced, so we're not going to go there. Messages. So if you there are certain emails or text messages that will be going out, so you can configure or change the text that goes out with those email messages or text messages. Devices, you can always make it remember the devices that users are logging in from, and once you do that, you can actually change that as well. So once you enable the two-factor authentication, users will be able to save the devices so that they don't have to do the two-factor authentication again. So you can also set up other triggers, like for example, what needs to happen once the user has logged in or before set up, well, sorry, they're registered. So you can set up your Lambda functions and call them, set them in here so that whenever the user registers, new user account is created, it will run this Lambda. So things like, for example, if you want to send, so once the user has confirmed their account, you can set up a Lambda function to send a welcome email and things like that. So that's quite handy as well. So yeah, the things are installed. So what we are going to do is just all going to do, see, so far our app still looks like this, right? So we'll see what happens when I do something like AWS Amplify. And so what we are doing is we are basically importing Amplify and config. Config is basically the config file that we got all the configuration, and Amplify to basically configure our project using those config. So that's all you need to do to set up your project with Amplify, but still no change. So what next? What we can do is if I go to my app and if I just import, and if I do something like, And if I just refresh now, there you go. So all we did was we just set up everything using command prompt, and we configured our Amplify in our project, and in app, which is our main component. All I did was imported this from Amplify UI, React, where and just basically surrounded app component with that. And all it's doing now is it's basically secured my app using login and everything. So I can't really just enter anything and just go. It's not, because everything is like working as if it is a production space. So you can actually go ahead. I'll tell you the problems, but you can actually go ahead and then create an user account as well, for example. And do that, and it's just going to username should be email. So what's happening is, now that when we were setting up our authentication, we said that the username has to be email address. So that's why it's saying that username is wrong, is invalid, because it needs to be email address. So the problem with this is, as you can see, that it already has an email address field, and it's also asking for username. So what we want is, we want to basically remove this username field completely. And we probably want to add few other things like first name, last name, things like that. So what we are going to do for that is, I don't know if there is there any questions, Praveen? I don't know, I can't see anything in here though.
No, nothing as of now, Vinayak. Can carry on. It's going
Okay,
great.
cool, cool. So yeah, and here you can see as well, in sign in, it's asking for username instead of using email address and password. So we are going to see how we can do that as well. So what we're going to do is, we're just going to get rid of this again. We don't want that. So our app should be back to, yeah. And then what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to import few things, and then I'm going to tell you. So there are a few things. We install this UI React library, which has a lot of ready-to-use components from AWS. So we're just going to use them. So I'm just going to, well, what I'll do is, I'll just keep as it is. So we're not going to lose anything, and then I'm just going to start adding few things. What I'll do is, I'll add some code, and then I'll explain. I
Vinayak,
think that
there is
that'll
a
be much
question.
faster. Yeah.
It's from my side as well as from YouTube people. Like,
Yeah.
um, Deka is asking why higher order components, not hooks.
We are going to use hooks as well. The higher component is mainly it's just one way to set up authentication in your project using Amplify. So there are differences. The main difference I found out is that the configuring or customizing your authentications. For example, in here you saw that it was asking username instead of asking for email address. So gets a bit tricky to using your um, higher order component. I think there are many ways to do that as well. But what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to show much simpler and much easier to understand way to do everything. So as you can see in here, they have some ready to use components, which works exactly similar to our, what do you call that? If I just save this, nothing is working because Yeah. So as you can see, I don't think I need to install practice as well. So yeah. So as you can see, so instead of using higher order component, if I just only add this component in my main well in app.js, so you can see we are back to the way we were with the higher order component. But this is much easier because this way I can actually go ahead and customize all the sign in and sign up components as well. Yeah, still same. It's good. So in here, there are a few things, right? So what we want to do is like we want to rename this username to an email address. For that, all we have to do is username alias. So it has few certain things if you see. So the username is by default the username, but if you want to change it to email address or phone number, you can actually do that very easily by just adding this tag, this property, and just set it to email address. As soon as I save this and refresh, now you can see that the email address, instead of asking username, it's just asking email address. And if I go to my user, create user account, you can see that it has the username field has completely gone now. So all it has is the email address and password and the phone number. That's all. So yeah, so that's quite simpler. So what we are going to do is we are going to in our because we are going to create a chat account, chat app. We would like to show users name and everything. So that's why we need a first name and last name in create account form. So that's what we're going to do. So for that, again, we are going to go with some lot of props. So there is something one property called slot. What that is basically just telling Amplify that what type of what type of component or configuration you're setting up. So this is basically for slot for the sign up form. And again, we can do this in here as well if you want. If you don't want, that's fine. Because since we did this in the our main component itself. So everything in here will be passed to our child components, as you know. But if we haven't set it up in here, if you want to set up only for the sign up, you can actually always do that in here as well. And then there is form fields as well, which is very interesting. So form fields is basically what it is. It's just a list of fields that you want to add, standard fields you want to add in your sign up form. So if I just go back to here and go back to my setup attributes. So here you can see that there are many different fields that you can actually use. Things like address, birth date, or email address, family name, gender, given name, or etc. etc. So there are things like, instead of calling first name, they just call it as a given name, and then the surname is the family name. So that's quite common. And there are other things as well that you can add. So we just all we need is from here is the given name and the family name. That's all we're going to add. I'm just going to copy quickly because it'll take time again to write everything. So I'll just copy this, paste it here, and then I'll just explain what I'm doing in here. So I just created 5 fields. First name is for given name. So every field has a type. So if I just go ahead and do something here, so you can see all the properties has. So it has a type, is it disabled, is it handling. So if you can actually set up some functions as well to handle the input change. If you want to set it, give some hint. If it is things like password and things like that, so you can actually set up some hint information as well. If you want to set pass through any input props as well. So if it is if you things like for input, if you want to add some styles or anything like that, so you can pass them as well. Label, placeholder, as you know already, if it is a required, if it's a mandatory field, and the value, default value. So these are the things that you can set up. So quickly, I'm just going to go through all the fields that I have added. So the given name is going to be my first name, and the place is just going to say enter your first name, and then the is required, the family name, which is the last name, email address, password, and the phone number. So that's quite straightforward. So what I'm going to do is just going to save this and I'll go back to, I'm just going to close all this. Okay, much easier. So now, yeah, so if you go to create account, you can see that you have first name, last name, email address, password, and etc. That's it. And then if you go back to sign in, yeah, the sign in is still there. Let me see if I'm missing anything in here. Yeah, that's all really. So by this stage, it's basically everything set up for the login. So all we have to do is give it a test. So if I just say, I'm just going to use some, well, it's actually, I'll just use a real number so we can show the two-stage authentication as well. So I just created an account using, so what it's saying is it has sent a code to my email, and I'm just going to quickly grab that code, which is zero, oh, sorry, 70780. That's a nice number. So yeah, so it's asking you to confirm the signups by sending an email. So for example, what happens? Let's see. So if I say for some reason, so there are a lot of things that you always have to think about authentication. So for example, what happens if user just left the sign up process in between, or in this case, for example, if I just created an account but I didn't confirm my account. So if you were to set up this, write the code for the authentication yourself, you'll have to think of all these scenarios where what if a user enters the wrong password, what if a user doesn't confirm his account and things like that. But the good thing about Amplify is everything is out of the box. So if I just say enter my password, and if I try to log in, it's going to say user is not confirmed. So it's taking care of everything. And it's also actually showing me the form as well to confirm the account. And if you already have a code, you can enter that code, or if you don't, then you can actually ask it to resend the code as well. So you can see that everything is out of the box. You don't really need to worry about writing any single piece of code at all. All I did was added authentication and configured few fields for the create account. So I'm just going to go ahead and with
That was
that
cool. Like, I
nice
did not
number.
know that this particular library is capable of doing these things.
Yeah, it is. I mean, up until last year, it was a bit fiddly. So, there were a few bugs, and you had to do a lot of things to get something to work. For example, the mainly with the things like GraphQL APIs, it wasn't so well, I think. So you had to have some sort of well, if you had like a really complex data structure, like you have go inside many different deep levels and things like that. It wasn't
Yeah,
working very well. But now that they have updated it, they fixed a lot of issues, and also it's working very well. So that's why I think I always say that it's good to use that.
that's cool.
I'm think my I forgot to set up a battery, so I'm just gonna set my laptop on charging because I forgot that because I'm that stupid. Oh, sorry about that. Are we all right? So can you still see everything?
Yeah, everything is good.
Okay, cool.
Just that your face is
Sorry,
very small, like, I mean, like,
I know.
adjust.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, so we are back in here. So yeah, I just entered the code, and if I just press confirm, it said so. My account is confirmed. So now it's There you go. So it's now funny enough that it's showing the form again. I'll tell you why. It's because we haven't told our config component what to do once the user has logged in. So that's why it's just showing me the login again. So we're just gonna quickly see. Give me one sec. I don't know why it's. Oh, sorry about that. I think it may disconnect my screen again. These are the things.
Do you need some time or like? Okay.
No, just give me 1 second.
Everything good. Everything is
Yeah,
good from this side.
everything's.
So yeah. Okay. Go on.
Yeah, it's fine. It wasn't charging actually, so my laptop would have died quite quickly. So it's fine now. So it's charging.
Okay.
So yeah, we didn't tell our component that what to do once the user has logged in. That's why just rendering the signing form again. So yeah, that's the next thing we're gonna do. But if we just quickly just to test it out, what I'm going to do is yeah, I'm just using that emit. So it's just basically removing
That's
if
cool.
I'm
This is
like
my
using
favorite
anything.
plugin as well.
Yeah, I recently started using it. I wasn't using it so far. That's why I'm not still used to it. But I figured out that, because I'm trying a lot of things, I always leave a lot of unused imports in there, which is not good. So with this, I think it just gives you better practices, really. So yeah, and here you can see now that I already logged in. So it's showing me that, and it's not showing me form. And another thing is, I think we logged in, but how do we log out? Do we have to write the code again to log out? No, we don't, because Amplify gives you that as well. So all I do is if I just go ahead and if I just do this, there you go. So the sign out button is there. No, I'm working. Just looking at a couple of things. Is there any questions meanwhile? Or I don't know, it's not working, but we're going to set up a logout anyway, a bit differently. So we'll just get rid of this. We'll leave it to there. And so what's next? So next, what we want to do is, let me see, what do I have? Yeah, so basically I wanted to set up this once user is logged in, right? So what I'm going to do is going to set up, I'm actually just going to copy a couple of things so that it doesn't take time. And then I'm just going to explain what I'm doing here. think it's gonna shout at me. Yeah, goes. No. Yeah, there you go. Just excuse me for 1 minute. I don't know why. So don't worry about the silence. I'm still here.
Okay.
Yeah, so what I'm doing is basically I'm just trying to get the username in here. So yeah, so let's see again. If I sign in, oh, why it's not using this? But anyways, okay. There. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, what I'm doing is basically once user has logged in, I'm just pulling the username and then displaying it here. And the way to do that is if you access the current authenticated user, it's going to give you a promise written, which basically is a cognito user account object. And that user object, if I just maybe do that, yes, like you should be able to see what's in that object as well. So if I just refresh, so yeah, so that user object has a lot of different things, and the things that we are interested in is attributes. So here you can see the attributes that we set up. So the email address we have, whether email is verified, our first name, last name, and the mobile number, whether the mobile number is verified or not. So there are many ways as well. There is also methods to whether if you want to verify a phone number manually as well. So you can do that as well. The username is usually the the unique ID that well ID for that user account. There are many other things as well. So using this account, you can actually access the storage if they have any storage and things like that. So you can actually add a storage specific to that user itself, and you can access it this way. So yeah, this is the object that we get from the user, and in here we just basically selecting the given name and just printing it here. And once we log out, you can see again it goes back to that. So quickly, I'll show you how to set up the two-stage two-factor authentication, and after that, we'll see how everyone feels. Whether should we continue or should we just finish it in here? Um, Again, I'm just gonna grab some stuff. Actually, I can show in here as well. So I'll show you two different ways. So if I just enable SMS MFA, it's gonna say Facebook. Okay, yeah. MFA is disabled. I'm just gonna make it optional so that multi-factor authentication is enabled for our project. And then if I go to the user and enable MFA, it still doesn't like it. No. Okay. Okay. Yeah, it's there. User has. Yeah, there you go. Okay. I don't know why it didn't work, but I hope everyone can still hear me all right. So what I did was basically, I'm just going to show you how multi-factor authentication works. So there are well, there are many ways to do that, but there are two ways. Is basically one way is you can enable that per user from this console itself, which I just did. And to enable that, you have to make sure that the user has a mobile number. If they don't have a mobile number, then you can't really enable that because that's just basically using text message to send because we are already using email address, so it's just going to use the second field, which is phone number, to verify that. So now, if I just go ahead and try to log in, what it's going to do is there you go. So it's going to say that I have sent an well, these messages you can always configure these messages, but all it's saying is I have sent you an SMS code by SMS. So you just have to enter that. If you don't enter, you can't log in. So if I just go and grab that quickly, which is 213056, and confirm. There you go. So I can log in. So I got the two-factor thing. So you can see how easy it is to enable that as well. But you don't want to do that and go ahead and do that for every individual user manually. So either you can set it up so that it is required, so everyone has to use that, or you can make it optional like we did. And in here, instead of enabling it in here, what I'm going to do, so let's just make sure it is disabled. Yeah, it is disabled. So I'm going to grab some code again, and I'm going to show you how you can do that through code. So I'm just going to paste something here, and then, okay, good. And in here, I'm going to something like this, and I'm just going to import them. So all I did was, this is a ready tool or the component that you can use it from the Amplify React library that we installed previously. Again, this is not necessary, but this is just something ready-made that they have. That's why I'm just using this library. Otherwise, you don't really need to install this. Everything that you need, you can actually just grab everything from this library itself. So in here, I'm just creating this component, which gives me ability to set MFA type for the logged in user. So now that this has to be for the user, so I'm just keeping it in here so that it is available only when the user has logged in, and it takes
Hey, sorry,
Hello.
folks. Yeah. So
Sorry
there
about
seems to
that.
be
I
some.
think,
Yeah, go on.
yeah, I think my internet died.
Ouch.
So I just quickly switched to Wi-Fi. Yeah, I don't know why. So basically, I just need to go back and shout at this office guys later on. Yeah, basically, what it is, guys, I got this new office today, and everything is still getting set up. So there are some issues, and this is always the worst nightmare for any streamer, live streamer. That the last thing that he would expect is his internet dies. But anyway, so we were just looking at setting up the multi-factor authentication through code. So far, I don't know if you saw, but I just added this ready component from React Amplify React library, and it just takes a user object and MFA types, and the types are basically list enum, or you can call them list of true false, which is for only well, three things that Amplify allows. Uh, SMS, and then there is optional, which is basically just uh, disables everything really. And the SMS, I'm not sure what third ones. But let's see if I log in now. Hopefully. Yeah, so once you log in, you can see in here. So if I just set this up, well, you cannot select the type for now. That's great. Yes. Yeah, I don't know what happened there, but I think sometimes it just takes time a little bit to cloud formation, I guess. So yeah, as I can see, I can just I get this ready tool. I can actually go ahead and style this as well, and which if you want to use it. Otherwise, I would prefer just creating my own component and using that. But just quickly to show you, so if I set to SMS, well, if I set this and verify, if I log out, as you already saw, it just logs me in. But if I set this to SMS and verify and log out and try to log back in, it's going to ask me to enter the SMS code that's sent to SMS. So if I just go ahead and enter that 264757, it's going to allow me entry. That's it. So that's how simple multi-factor authentication as well is in using Amplify. And there is a lot of modifications or customizations that you can do in your authentication. Like I said previously, like you can ask for many other attributes. Well, you actually, one thing to basically mention is that when we set up the authentication, when we added authentication to our project initially, we said that we want to use the email address to log in. This is what you can see in here, that how do you want users to log in using email address or phone number. And in here, we selected that we want to allow email address. But as you can see, I can't really change this. So you have to make sure that when you're setting up the authentication for the first time, make sure that you select the right attributes that you want. Because once you enable them here, you can't disable them, or once you disable them, use something, you can't change it. So but in terms of these standard attributes, even though I have only email ticked, like you can see that I'm actually asking user to enter their given name and family name as well. So you can always do that. And if you have a phone number, if you want to verify the phone number as well, you can do that as well. Just want to quickly go. I think it's Amplify API. Yeah. So in here, if you go to if you just search Amplify auth methods, you'll see there are lots of methods available from Amplify. So all these methods can be accessed through AUTS, like we're doing for user here, or dot something. So I'm just using current authentication, which will be, there you go, which is in here. So if you click on it, it will tell you what it's going to read, and it's going to read on the cognito user object. So, like I said, there are many other things as well, methods that you can use out of the box. Like if you want to confirm, so if you're writing your own UIs instead of using the standard components from Amplify, you can actually create your own login and sign up forms, and you can actually use these methods as well. So things like so basically sign up. I think there is something called sign up. So in sign up, you can actually pass in the sign up params, which is basically all the attributes, password, username, etc. And then once you signed up, you can actually call confirm sign up as well, which basically takes a username. In our case, it will be email address, and then the code that was sent. So sending an authentication code, authorization code, you don't really need to do anything if you're using this sign up method. It's just going to send the authorization code automatically to the email address. And all you have to do is basically uh, show the form to enter the authorization code. And once they enter the code, you just call this method by passing the username and the code, and it's just going to verify that count. And it's going to return a promise again, which will have something like the success, whether it's completed or not, and things like that. And then once it's confirmed, you can just show the login screen and then just get login. There are other methods, interesting methods, which are to verify current user attribute, which here you can actually enter. So like I said before, so there is a mobile phone number. So by default, it's not going to verify. It's going to verify only email address for the account. But if you want to verify username, user phone number as well, so this is what you can use. So you can use verify current attribute, which what it will do is you just need to pass the attribute that you want to verify, which is in this case it'll be phone number, and it will send a confirmation code, again verification code, to that phone number via SMS text. And then once you send, you basically call this method where you ask for the code from the user, and call this method by passing the attribute name and the code that user enters. And based on if it is correct, everything is correct, then it will basically verify the phone number as well. So yeah, that's all really, and you can actually enable disable SMS. You can see go through a lot of different methods that are in here, and yeah, that's all really. So as you can see, it's very easy, very simple, very quick to set up authentication using Amplify. I think let's see. Praveen is not there, so I'm just quickly gonna open YouTube and see if there are any questions. Yeah, I guess there are no questions, so I think we are good. I think we've been about like almost nearly 1.5 hours, so I think it will be good time to just stop in here and continue tomorrow. Tomorrow, what we are going to do is we are going to set up a GraphQL APIs. We are going to set up our database. We are going to set up GraphQL APIs. If you don't know what GraphQL API is, you can have it, but it's basically similar to REST APIs, but the main difference with GraphQL API is you can have many, well, you basically have only one endpoint, but you can pass different methods. For example, it's not a method, but you can actually request different type of data, and you can actually say that, okay, I want to get all the users, but I don't want to get everything, all the information for every user. I just want username and probably email address. So all the GraphQL API is going to do is return username and email address for every user. So it's not basically it's saving a lot of hassle for the server to process all the data, and also it's going to be a bit faster compared to REST APIs where everything is fixed, and you will probably have a lot of different endpoints depending on what information you're requesting. Yeah, I think Praveen, I think it'll be good to I think finish this session in here. So
Nice.
far we set up the authentication, and
Hmm.
then I was just saying that tomorrow what we will do is we will set up GraphQL API, we'll set up the database, set up GraphQL API, and
That's cool.
basically uh, I'm going to use some ready snippets for the UIs so that we are not spending too much time in there. But
Okay.
we are going to go through the Chakra UI, how easy it is.
Okay.
Instead, if you don't know how to write CSS and all, we can actually use the properties that are available from Chakra UI
That's
and see
cool.
how easy it is. Yeah, I think tomorrow will be a fun day as well.
Nice.
Um,
Let me know when you're stopping the screen share so that I can switch back.
Yeah, I think so far, yeah, I think it's a good point to leave it here. So I'm just going to stop the share screening. Yeah, sharing screen.
Cool. That was really awesome. Like that's something which I learned a new thing as well. For
Yeah,
unfortunately, I was not there in a bit of time, like middle then and there, due to checking the audio and all the rendition, how
mhm,
everything is going on. But yes, overall, it was crazy. Like I was looking at the big Mac screen there, which is there in the other
mhm.
room, and yeah, the audios were clear. Yeah,
Okay,
cool, man.
that's
If
good.
this is your first time, what is your experience? What do you feel?
Yeah, exactly. So this is my first time I'm doing any live streaming. So this was a bit of a, I was a bit nervous, but I think the biggest challenge in here is that the silence, because you can't really hear your audience, so it gets a bit difficult, isn't it? I think that's the main challenge that you need to overcome. But other
Got
than
it.
that, I think it was good. Yeah, it was good. I think the internet played a little bit as well, which is again another
Happens.
problem that you usually have. Yeah, exactly. So far, I think we didn't find any issues with any major issues in the code, but usually that's another worry always have coder has that something goes wrong and you are not able to
And you're
figure out.
getting
Even
awesome
though,
feedback from the people in the
yeah,
YouTube
that's
live
good.
chat as well. So there is Deka says very good job, Santosh,
Mhm.
superb. Thanks, man. It
Great,
was really
thank
awesome.
you
Like,
guys, thank you very
and
much.
thanks
I
everyone for
hope,
tuning in as well. Please
yeah.
give your questions, and Vinayak, do you want to say anything else?
No, that's all really. So yeah, as you can see that how easy it is to set up authentication. And tomorrow when we go through the GraphQL APIs and how see how subscriptions work
Hmm.
to make everything real time, you're going to be amazed at how easy it is to set up everything. And you don't really need to have to worry about, oh, how to do this, how to make sure the user can't access this, access that, and blah blah.
Yeah, that would be super
So
cool.
everything is going to be really easy. Yeah.
Yeah,
So hopefully tomorrow we'll have a lot more fun as well.
thanks. Thank you so much. Thanks, Devraj, as well to be here. And it was good. And yeah, would you put the code on GitHub for reference? That's another question that's been asked by the YouTube people.
Oh yeah, actually, yeah. Should we do that now?
It's up to you, whichever is easier for you. Like send over the link, or I'll be able to put it over here.
Yeah. Let's just screen share if it's okay, and
Okay,
then
go on.
just do that so that we are not boring with the silence.
Cool.
So I'm just going to create a new repo. Just going to keep it
So it's Vinayak
empty.
Nirvani slash YouTube chat. Okay,
Yeah, I'll
let me
just
try to
paste the
open
link
that from
anyway.
here. So github.com Vinayak YouTube chat. All right, yes, I've got it. Thank you. So I'm just gonna send this in.
So
It's an
yeah,
empty repository at the moment. Yes, we can do it. It's here. Cool. That's been added.
and
Have you been using something called as iTerm and OMyZSH?
no, this I think this is something called like Solaris or something, some plugin.
Okay.
So I'm not sure, but if I go in here, preferences, I should be able to find out. Yeah, it's like Solarize, some theme for the terminal. That's
Oh,
what I'm
okay.
using.
You're using the normal terminal still. Got it.
Yeah,
No,
it's a
no
normal
shell
terminal. Yeah, I'm
replacement
not
yet.
using that. Yeah, not yet. I mean, up until like last couple of years back, I think I used to hate Mac.
What?
But
Yeah.
yeah, I was like a Windows person, .NET, because I worked in .NET for over
Hmm.
easily over like 12 years at
Got
least.
it.
So in last recent few years, I think I've been working in React, and ever since working in React,
Hmm.
I'm using Mac, and I find it really good.
Cool.
So I
Hey,
think
looks like you
we
haven't added all the changes, so you might need
oh
to like
yes, yeah,
add
that's
commit and push. Yeah, I don't understand why what this ESLint catchy does often nowadays. It's a pain. Uh, like it keeps getting generated, and I used to go and delete it manually, and every time when I do npm install, it gets generated. And there is an active ongoing thing as well. Like what do you call this? There is an ongoing issue in the GitHub which tries to like delete that, but no, it's not working.
ah yeah. I don't know. I mean, even this, I think it's sometimes it's a bit annoying that whenever you this I don't know what's that plugin called? Because I once forgot that which
Gitlins.
plugin. Yeah, I think it was that, but I'm not sure
The
because I
one which
tried
you are
to
looking
change
at is
the setting.
Gitlins. This is
Yeah,
Gitlins.
is it okay? So it might be that. But yeah, I think it took me a little bit to get used to as well. But even still now as well, I think it's a bit new for me.
Okay.
But hopefully, I think more I work on it. I think. Yeah, I think all the code is in there. So I think you already have you copied the link to the YouTube
I've
channel?
already sent it over in the YouTube
Okay.
chat. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
we
great.
can
No
stop the
worries.
screen
So
share in
yeah,
case
if
if you want.
great. Yeah. So yeah, that's all. There we go. Hopefully tomorrow we'll have a lot more fun, and hopefully I will not be. Uh, if you're finding me anxious, so I'll not be that anxious
Don't
tomorrow,
worry,
and
you're good.
hopefully the internet will be fine tomorrow as well.
So yeah, we can actually ask everyone like, how did you do? Hey, Decapair is saying like your terminal was asking your GitHub passphrase.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's basically SSH key. So I set up a password for my SSH key when I added that. So it's basically asking me that password
So
every
it's like
time
a
I use it.
password
But
based,
it's not.
password secured. SSH key then. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's it.
And you are using an
So
SSH
you don't have
authentication.
to do that. Yeah,
Got
yeah,
it.
you can
Got it.
add. I can actually add another SSD, I guess, without password. So, but I'm just not bothered. I really don't. I mean, I should, but I don't really
It's
use
already
GitHub
it's
so
always good to
much.
have a password. That's completely fine. Yeah, passphrased
Yeah, yeah,
SSH thing is always good.
yeah. Because most of the times I've been using like some private. I think most of the time it's been Atlantis, the Bitbucket. Uh, th- that's what I've been using. But
Got
I
it.
haven't really used GitHub much. But yeah, I guess I can add another SSH key if I want later on. But I think it's
Yeah,
fine, I guess.
cool. Got it. That was an awesome load of things that you taught us, and
Hmm.
yeah, that was cool. So I hope everyone is also ready for the next session tomorrow, same time. Don't forget to tune in and definitely give a like for this video for Vinayak,
Yeah,
and
definitely.
he's gonna start his own YouTube channel soon, I guess, right?
And no, I don't think so. I don't have any plan. But we'll
Then
see.
just join with me. So your
Yeah,
knowledge is really
exactly. Yeah,
nice, and we would really
yeah,
love to hear you talk and do all the things because it's been
yeah,
really an interesting journey today. And as a React JS developer, I enjoyed it a lot because yes, I was able to look at how you can do the SMS or time-based on-time password authentication and other things. Seems to be really interesting and cool. That's good.
yeah. Yeah, I
And
mean, you can see like my speed was very slow, and also we had few issues and all. That's why
mhm,
it took us like hour and a half.
I mean,
But if you
happens.
really wanted to do this on your own time, and if you know how things everything works, and really, I think it's hardly a 10-15 minutes
Got
job
it.
to get everything done. Yeah.
So Vinayak, I just had a quick look at the GitHub page. I don't think you have pushed the code. So when you are,
Huh?
can you check once again if you have pushed it? Doesn't seem like it is there.
Oh, good. Yeah. Sorry about that. I forgot.
Okay,
I think
folks,
that's
everything
another
has been
thing about
pushed.
the password. So you have to enter the password if you
Right.
forget, and you may think that it's pushed, but it's not. Yeah.
Got it, got it, got it. It's been pushed now. Thanks. Thank you so much, Vinayak,
Okay.
for sharing the code open
Yeah.
source as well.
No problem. Hopefully we'll have more fun tomorrow.
Yeah, that's cool. And yeah, so everyone, with the rising of new types of coronaviruses, please stay safe indoors and make
Yeah.
sure you are taking care of yourself. And health is more important these times. And since everyone is working from home, don't get overworked like me. I don't see what time I go sleep, and I've been like overworking like hell. So please, please, please
Mm,
take care of your health, including you, Vinayak, and
yeah.
soon meet you in the office as well. So,
Definitely. Yeah.
congratulations for that. And yeah, go on.
Yeah.
Anything else that you want to say before saying goodbye?
No, that's all really. Yeah. Stay safe, and whoever in the UK, I think they have tier 4 to look forward to. I
Yeah.
think for sure you as well. So hopefully you're
So
not going
yeah,
to
and
get
yeah,
too
I
much
guess
more.
we already said that you are in Manchester right now, and I am in London.
Yeah. Yeah.
Crazy times and crazy
Exactly.
city and
Yeah.
crazy situation right now. So let's stay
Yeah.
safe and
Exactly. Yeah.
cool.
Definitely.
Okay,
Yeah. Take care, everybody.
see you everyone.
See
Have a
you.
nice day,
See you
and
tomorrow.
don't forget tomorrow. And see ya.
Yeah. See you.